Good afternoon. Through our conference, we've heard an amazing set of presentations about the advances that we've made in using DNA analysis to describe biological communities. However, the strength of the science in its own, in my mind, won't be enough to see these methods being taken up and used for operational purposes. This would be a great pity because I think DNA-based methods provides tremendous efficiencies in this area, but also more importantly, it gives us insights that we previously haven't been able to secure of ecological condition, and this is a sort of tremendous area for development. In this presentation, I will use the experience that I've come across through projects that I've been involved in to look at some of those sort of softer areas that people need to think about when developing DNA-based projects. So, firstly, it is necessary to have a required application. As I said at the outset, we know that we can produce very long lists of taxa from samples. We're left asking the so what question. We've got to find an application, and that can be understanding environmental conditions, it can be diagnosing pressures, it can be understanding ecosystem resilience, it can be improving our management of rare and invasive species, and it can also, under circumstances, be important to simply have inventories of taxa that are species that are living in an area. It's important to have an end user advocate. What is an end user advocate? Well, I would say that I am an end user advocate, and I'm pleased to report that there are a growing number of DNA advocates working in regulatory agencies. This is important. There's an example here, and I'll just sort of take you through it briefly. In Scotland, we have sought to introduce a new regulatory regime for salmon fish farming. It has required the gathering and analysis of a greater number of samples, biological samples, to describe environmental condition. We very quickly realised that this was going to create an analytical bottleneck. We worked with our partners at the Scottish Association of Marine Sciences and the University of Highlands and Islands to develop a DNA-based method where we used bacteria and calibrated that to the conditions that we find in Macrobenthus to describe environmental condition. So what we have developed is a faster and cheaper method that it still needs more work, but it is showing considerable promise. And I and others have been pushing for the adoption of this within our organisation. We also need strong links between the research community and the end user community. DNA Aquanet has been brilliant at that. There are other examples across the globe. Understanding how your product fits into the monitoring landscape is also a vital factor. There are no right or wrong answers though. So if we look firstly at methods which are sort of similar to what we've used in the past, which rely on using a restricted set of taxa. If you can develop a method in an area where one hasn't been used before, such as the Canadians have done with wetlands, and similarly we have done in the UK with lakefish, then you're in a good place because you've got no comparisons that can be made with what's been done in the past. Where you've got existing methods, there are challenges there. Let's be truthful here. The key thing is knowing which method is getting you closest to the truth. With a project that we did with diatoms in the UK, we observed a 30% change in the status of water bodies, simply down to the method that you deployed. So that's that sort of approach. Let's think now a little bit about blue sky methods. This is where we, instead of using a restricted set of taxa, we use the full biodiversity record that's available in a sample. There are new opportunities here. It's there's a huge amount of potential to be untapped. The challenges, though, are that these types of methods are of less immediate use to end users. They will typically have a longer delivery timeline, probably better suited for production from the research community. But I think that ultimately they will be better. They will give us more information that we need to manage our natural resources. So, key points. Identify an operational requirement, work in full partnership with end users, and assess what works best for the circumstances that you're operating in.